Re-
Evening, everyone. Welcome to a Bowls Victoria training webinar. Tonight, we're going to unpack the important role of being a side manager in our side manager training. My name is Manitoba, Education and Training Manager, and I'll be your host. Later in the session, we'll bring our expert in, and who's Troy Stafford, our recent events and competition manager. Troy's been with us, I think about 4 or 5 weeks now, and is really doing some great things. And in the background on the Q&A will be Sam Rogers, who's our events and competitions coordinator. All right, if you haven't been on a webinar before, it is a little bit different to the Zoom meetings that we're quite used to now. As you can see from the picture, it's a bit like a cinema. You get to sit back with your popcorn and watch Troy, Sam, and myself do all the work. There is you can have a little bit of interaction. At the bottom of your screen, you will see a Q&A option. So at times, if there's questions that you'd like us to cover, please throw your questions in there. I've seen a couple already go in. Sam will be responding to those and then coming back. Sam will come in, later in the session and fire some of those questions at Troy and myself. This morning we did the 10 a.m. session and tonight obviously the 6 p.m. and we are recording both of these. Generally it's the second session that tends to get uploaded to our website. So yeah, look out for that and I will show you where our training for Pennant will get stored on our website. All right, we've got quite a big agenda to get through, so I'll go through the plan for tonight's session. Firstly, I'll unpack the roles of a side manager. Then I'll look at BowlsLink, which is playing a really important part in our Pennant. So who can enter results? I'll look at the result process because there's 2 processes there. I'll look at how you can activate your BowlsLink account. We still have probably I'd say 40% of our members who are never logged into their BowlsLink. So I'll show you how to do that. I'll do a live demo of the result process in BowlsLink, and we've also got a video that we'll have a quick look at that shows you the live scoring, which quite a few of our regions and playing areas are taking up this year, which is fantastic. Troy will then come in and discuss some of the important COPs that side managers need to be aware of. Sam will then come in and ask some questions, and then we'll finish with what we think some of the great clubs are doing, best practice, and where you can get some support at BV. All right, so roles of a side manager. There's quite a few, and it is an important role. So the first one is to ensure that all your teams in your side are entered into BowlsLink prior to play. We do recommend a day before, and that also includes late changes getting fixed up in BowlsLink. Then you need to complete a fair rink draw with your opposing side manager. And a brand new addition to BowlsLink this year is the shuffle button. I'll show you later on how it works. For some comps that are using live scoring, the shuffle button will replace the card shuffle. Once you've done the shuffle, obviously you need to fill out cards. If you're live scoring, you don't need to do that. Then you need to toss the coin for the mat. And obviously once the game is finished, huge responsibility to enter the results into BowlsLink. There are some deadlines that we want you to meet. And obviously the quicker the results go in, the quicker you can see after the match the results for that round. And as Troy will touch on, there's some really important COPs that all of our side managers need to be aware of. All right, who can enter results into BowlsLink? I often get this question. The first thing I'd like to say is please don't go and make a whole lot of people at your club administrators. Yes, as you can see in this diagram, they do have the ability to manage teams and enter results. But what comes with club admin also comes your database, which is obviously really important to protect. We don't want the personal information of our members getting out. And also a two-factor authentication code also comes with that too. So that makes it a little bit harder to log in. What you'll find is for all of your sides, there should be a primary contact that's been nominated to your controlling body. They obviously get access to all the sides and can manage. Once you have managing rights, it can then be passed down. So if I'm a club administrator, or if I'm the primary contact, and I know I've got 3 or 4 side managers for that season, then I can go in and allow them to manage. Once our side managers do have managing rights, if they know that they're going to be away for a week, they can then allow another player in that side to also start managing. The result process, as I said, there's 2 processes. Majority of our comps now, I would say, are the home team finalisers. We still have a small amount of our comps using the away team confirms. So let's have a look at the home team finalisers. As you can see, for both processes, teams need to be entered prior to the match and preferably the day before. In the home team finalisers, as you'll see, most of the tasks are done by the home side manager or the home team. So they match the skips. The shuffle button will do it for you. They enter the results. Scoring app will do that for you. Then they need to check that the results and the rinks match. So if you're not using the shuffle button or the scoring app and you are home team finalisers, that's pretty much quite a majority of our sides in Metro, please check that your rinks match before you put the results in, and obviously check the results match for those. We have a lot of result disputes that clubs send in on a Monday, and the majority of that is the rinks did not match. So if you're home side manager, take a little bit of extra time to make sure that the rinks match. Once you're happy with it, you'll have a finalize match button at the bottom, and you just hit that. Away team confirms. There's similarities there. Obviously, the away team gets a few more capabilities. So the home team matches the skips. Again, if you're using the shuffle button will do that for you. The home team enters the results, or the scoring app will do it for you. Again, check that the results and the rinks match, and then they hit complete. At this time, the match is not finalised. It gives some capabilities now to the away team, so they can match skips if needed. They can check results, but don't have the ability to change. So you could contact the home side and get it fixed up before they hit that confirm, which does finalise the match. So they're the two processes. Obviously, we might try and put these slides on our website as well, so you can take that with you, but that's how they work. And you should know pretty clearly when you're in your match, if you don't have that finalise match button down the bottom, you're using the away team confirms process. All right, how do you activate your BowlsLink account? It is quite simple, but it does require members having the correct email in their BowlsLink. So club admins, please make sure at the start of the year that you update all your members' details. So if I'm a side manager and I've never logged into BowlsLink before, I'm heading to the login page, which is bowlslink.com.au. I'm then heading to forgot password reset. This is a common process that you'll see on a lot of websites. If you've forgotten your password, you can always reset it. It will require your valid email address. A code will go to your email address. You enter the code and then you set up your password. So if you're a club that has a lot of members never logged in, maybe remind them about that process. All right, we're up to the BowlsLink live demo. I'll now share my my other screen, and we'll look at that process that we just explained. All right, so I've got a member here. I'm going to log in as another member. I've set it all up for training purposes. You can enter your email or your national ID. I like to do national ID. It forces me to remember it. You put your password in, which you've reset. There's the reset option if you need to do it. You can click on the show password button. That will just, because sometimes you can have it incorrect. So if you want to check, that's what that button does. If you're happy with that, just click the login button. All right, so Jamie Northey is going to be our side manager tonight, and he's going to go in and put the results. He's going to be the home side manager. You'll see that logging in, Jamie's come straight to his profile. That means that Jamie doesn't have club admin. If you do have club admin, you will get a choice of what profile to use. Just make sure you click on the My Clubs and your club name. It should say Member Overview on the top left. There is a competitions in the club admin, which can confuse people, but that's where you create comps for your club. It's not where you manage sides. So just a reminder, it needs to be in your My Clubs profile. It's the same profile that you use when you enter competitions. So click on comps. You'll get a few tabs here. In play are obviously the ones that are ready for scores. And you can see here that 24-25 weekend pennant has now gone live. And then you can see a couple of comps that I'm using for testing today. Entered comps are the ones that you've entered into. If you have any unsecured entries, that means the payment hasn't been taken, and you can fix it up through there. Available, how you can enter competitions. So you could search for a name. So Yarra. And then I can see all the Yarra championships. And it's just a matter of clicking the action button into competition. And obviously completed are the ones that have been completed previously. You can still get results in there. Let's go to in play. I'm going to be HBC, and I'm going to click on the action button. I get two options here. The common option is manage results, but I am going to click on manage entry. The only reason you would do this is if you wanted to allow someone else in your team to manage the side. So if you're a primary contact or a club admin, this is what you would do. You click on your edit pencil at the bottom of the player list. I get access to all of my players. I can add another player down the bottom here. I like to add my players when I'm doing the team because I get an import button and I don't have to link my players through here. So let's say I want Wendy. I can't manage, Jamie can't do this next week, so he wants Wendy to do it. Click on the down arrow. You'll see Wendy's details. Obviously, you don't need to put a position in here. That's more for state events. And you click on allow player to manage the entry. Click save. I'll go through that process again with David underneath. Expand David's details. Allow player to manage that entry. That's how easy it is to allow managing rights. You can always go in there and check if they have it. Now, Wendy, next week, needs to log in as herself. Hopefully she's reset her password, and then Wendy would see the competition and manage the same way that Jamie will. All right, so I'm going to click on manage results this time. You should see all your rounds here sitting as pending, and once the match is finalized, they will sit as completed. So this is a pending match. I'm the home team being HBC. I click view results, which is the only option. All right, what you should see in here when you first come in is a whole lot of team 1, 2, 3. You've got the two sides, HBC and MCC, and you should have a select team button. That's how you bring your players in, and I will have to bring players in for team 1 of our HBC. Top action button has a couple options. Mark as unplayed. Obviously, if you get washed out or heated out, that's the option. You will need to record the time and the reason. Forfeit match. Choose a side that is forfeiting and tick the yes and forfeit. Obviously, you will lose your players if you're forfeiting. If you receive a forfeit, your players will stay there. And the other option is import teams. So this is round 1. If I go and do round 2, I can just bring round 1's teams back in. If I haven't made a lot of changes, I can just change one player. So I would come to here, I'd go manage teams, change the player and hit save. All right, I need to bring in some players here because as you can see, the shuffle button is inactive because we need all players to be in before it becomes active. So I hit select team. I get option of choosing players from the drop down. As you can see at the bottom, we have substitute and unplayed. So I might throw the unplayed into there. And then if I can't find the player in this drop down, it means I need to import them. So import, choose the player and hit import. I'll do that for the other 3 spots. If I want to change these at all, I could change this to put David Florence there. And and I think it was Fawn. Hit save. And now our shuffle button is active. If you don't see the shuffle button, that means obviously your particular competition is not using it, and you'll need to use the card shuffle. After the game, you'll need to come in here and you'll need to click swap away teams to match them up. The beauty of the shuffle button is it will randomly match these, but I will then lose the ability to change players. So I'll click the shuffle button, gives you the prompt, are you sure you want to shuffle? I hit confirm. Unfortunately, it doesn't magically spin the players, but they have now been shuffled. And now I've lost some options in here. So all I've got is enter results. So that's why we're asking the shuffle button to be done after the pre-pennant practice, so you can get those late changes. All right, so now you would go out and play your game. Team 1 will be, if you're using the shuffle button, will be on the lowest rink available. If that's 4, Team 2s will be on 5, Team 3s on 6, Team 4s on 7. Games being played. If they are live scoring, these scores will come in here and the game will be finalised. If I'm not using live scoring, I need to hit update results and put my results in. I do get the ability, because I haven't hit the finalise match button, it's not available yet because not all results are in, to change a result if I pick up an error. Unfinalised side match, hit confirm, update results, and I need to make that an 18. All right, update results for Team 2. Team 3s. And Team 4s. Not a good result for Hawthorn there. All right, so now the finalise match button is active. Obviously, if you're using the shuffle button, no need to match these all up. If I'm not using the shuffle button, I want to make sure that my skips have been matched correctly and they match the cards and the scores match those as well. All right, we hit the finalise match button and process completed. All right, so I'll quickly go through that again. Obviously, you go to the member overview in your My Clubs profile, find your competition. That was the testing one. Hit manage results. I should have the match sitting as pending. If I haven't done it, it'll go to completed once it's been finalised. All right, I'll share my slides again because we'll now have a look at the live scoring video that explains the process.
Hi, and welcome to another PV training video. Today we'll be demonstrating how to use the BowlsLink scoring app during a pennant game, which will allow anyone to view the progress of your competitions in real time online through BowlsLink. Think of it as an online scorecard. Before the game, you'll need to download the app from the App Store for iPhone users or Google Play for Android smartphones. Links to both can be found in the description of this video. For the purpose of this demonstration, we'll be using iPhones. Simply tap the App Store icon, tap Search, and enter BowlsLink Scoring. Tap on Get to download, then tap Open. This will take you to the login screen. Your username can either be your email address, mobile phone number, or membership number. If you haven't set a password or have forgotten your password, simply tap Forgotten Password and follow the prompts. In this part of the video, we'll be using live stream footage from a recent pennant match between Mentone and MCC to provide context to how and when to use the app during your game. Both the home and away teams will need to have the app downloaded and ready to go before the start. After you've logged in, you'll need to find your match. Tap on either Find a Match here or use the menu in the top left corner to tap Find a Match. Select your competition, select your match, and then select your rink as demonstrated here. In this example, we are looking for Metro Premier Division's Mentone versus MCC, and the rink we are marking is Arthur versus Gallagher. Both the home and away teams need to enable scoring. This easy process is slightly different between the home and away sides, as you can see in the phone displays here. And now Mentone and MCC can start entering results. Let's skip to the completion of the first end to demonstrate how to enter a score. You can see here the MCC player has completed a measure and has indicated one shot to MCC. Mentone enters the result using the plus and minus buttons and taps Submit. The score will only register once MCC does the same. It is very important that these results match. Let's skip to the end of the 12th end to demonstrate what happens when a score doesn't match between the teams. Here you can see the Mentone player indicate a score of 4 to MCC, but MCC accidentally enters a 3, followed by Mentone entering a 4. In this case, an error screen will appear. MCC simply needs to tap Update My Scores and enter 4 shots. Let's skip to the final end to demonstrate how to complete the match. At the completion of the game, enter in the score for the final end and click Submit. At this point, you'll be able to review the scores end by end. When you're satisfied, simply tap Complete Rink. When both teams have tapped Complete Rink, the results will be finalized and updated instantaneously into BowlsLink. We encourage all clubs to give online scoring a go. It's easy once you get the hang of it and allows anyone to keep track of your match in real time, including saving your club time and resources. We hope you found this video helpful, and as always, if clubs have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Bowls Victoria.
All right, as you can see, really great training resource for all of your members. So if any of your members in your club are doing live scoring for the first time, you can find that on our website. I'll show you where it's located. You can also find it on our YouTube channel. Great training resource. I think it explains the process pretty easily. Obviously, you need to download the app. You need to be able to log in. Once you've done that, you're finding your comp, finding your match, enable scoring, and then as you could see in the video, the process for scoring is using the plus button and the submit. That needs to be the same as your opponent, and it generally goes in. It won't let it go in if you have different scores, which is great. And at the end, it'll know that you've completed the set number of ends and you just need to complete your rink. Once all the rinks have been completed, the match will be finalised. We're hoping just before Christmas, there'll be some upgrades to the result portal. So if you are following a match that's been live scored, you will see the live score for totals and the number of ends. So you can actually follow it like you're watching a live scoreboard. All right, I think we're now up to the COP, so I'll get Troy, our Events and Competitions Manager, to join us. Welcome, Troy.
Thanks, Matty. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for helping with the COPs.
All good. So the first one we're looking at here, you've sort of had a bit of a discussion just now with it on BowlsLink, but it's to do with the shuffle button. So this is something that's been set in conditions of play for Premier Division, Premier Reserve, and Division One. Something that's new for us for this year. A couple of things to note is that it's to be done on the day of the competition. Problem is, if you were to do it earlier, as soon as you need to make a change in one of your sides, which, as we know, can regularly happen with people pulling out ill the day before or even the morning of. Once this shuffle button is clicked, you can't actually alter any players. So it's really important that you do it on the day of the competition and in conjunction with the side manager of the opposition, so that both parties are present. So instead of the old way of physically shuffling the cards, you're just sitting by the screen, whether it be on your phone, on a tablet, on the computer. Both managers are there so that they can both witness it. Press the button. It records who pressed the button, so whoever was logged in, it records that and the time, and then you can't re-click it. So not only can you not change any sides, you can't re-click those sides either. So those things are really, really important to take note of.
Yep. We'll move on to allocation of rinks, Troy.
So once that shuffle button has been clicked, it will match up two rinks that will now be called Team 1, two rinks called Team 2, and so on. So one from each side. The two teams that are classed as Team 1 must play on the lowest numbered rink. So in this example, Team 1 versus Team 1 must go on rink 4. Team 2 versus Team 2 must go on rink 5, and so on. That's really, really important that you follow those parameters. So you can't just then decide we want to shuffle someone onto a different rink for whatever reason. It must be done for the lowest numbers, go on the lowest numbered rinks.
What about if they're just doing a normal card shuffle, Troy, and they're not using the shuffle button? I suppose it's important to be consecutive numbers.
Absolutely, yeah. So got to be consecutive numbers, and also very, very important that whatever's allocated as that first rink, rink 4, that's what it is. So one of your points earlier clarified it as being a fair rink draw, and that's really important that there's no manipulation of who plays who or who plays on what rink, and that's the real beauty of the shuffle button, is that it takes that temptation of manipulation out of it. It's completely done by the computer. But same with when you shuffle the cards, keep them in the order that they're shuffled in.
Can they play on two greens, over 2 greens?
Absolutely, yeah. So you could certain circumstances where you might have two greens at home, 7 rink greens, and you've got 3 sides at home. So you might use rinks 6 and 7 on green 1, and then rinks 8 and 9 on green 2. So you couldn't use rinks 6 and 7 on green 1 and rinks 11 and 12 on green 2. It's got to be consecutively numbers, regardless of whether you're using the shuffle button or not.
Yeah, really good point. All right, the one that gets a lot of our side managers, Troy, is inclement weather. So we've done a bit of a slide here to try and help everyone.
We had a couple of instances with the rain last year that I think caused a bit of conjecture for a number of clubs and side managers. So let's look at the 4 different scenarios. And firstly, I'm going to deal with temperature and lightning, because they're a little bit similar in that there's an actual measure of when you need to go off the green. So in Metro, if the temperature reaches 36 degrees, then we need to go off, and that's based on the official BOM site or official BOM app, so Bureau of Meteorology app. If it hits 36 degrees, then you complete your end and then go off. You then stay off until such time as the temperature comes back down below 36 degrees, unless an hour passes. So it's important that the side managers take note of when you come off the green, because if you haven't gone back on for an hour, then the game is completed, and we'll talk about that in the next slide as to what happens with that match. The other one that's also got a measure attached to it is when we have lightning, and there's been an update in our conditions of play where it's not just that lightning needs to be present, but there needs to be a lightning flash and a clap of thunder within 30 seconds. So as soon as you see the lightning, managers should put some sort of a timer on and time the gap. If it's more than 30 seconds, you are safe to continue play. If it's 30 seconds or less, then it deems that lightning or that weather event is within 10 kilometers of the venue, and that's where you need to go off. And that's for obviously outdoor, but also covered greens that aren't fully enclosed. So most of our greens that are under cover aren't fully enclosed. Brighton's one that is. It's probably the only one in Metro.
Terrelbin, I think.
Can be fully closed, down in Gippsland. But otherwise, if it's not fully enclosed, then they're classed as the same as an outdoor green. The one that gives us the most or manages the most conjecture is to do with the rain, because the other two, if the measure's there, then the side managers, it's pretty obvious. If it's 36 or more, you got to go off. If the lightning and the thunder is within 30 seconds, you got to go off. There's no other decision to make. It's when it's raining that causes some confusion, because what some people deem as unsafe may not be deemed as unsafe by another. So first port of call is that one of the side managers would approach the other side manager and suggest that we need to come off the green because it's getting a little bit wet. If both side managers agree, then teams would come off. Again, record the time, because if it's more than an hour, then the match would be abandoned. You also need to time it to see that if you go back on within 10 minutes, then it's counted as an interruption rather than a stoppage. So less than 10 minutes is purely an interruption. And the deal with that means that you can finish your end that you're still playing. So as soon as the managers decide you go off, you go off. And then if it's less than 10 minutes, finish the end you're playing. In the scenario where the two managers don't agree, then you go to the umpire. So the umpire is basically the controlling body for that day. They then determine whether we stay on the green or whether we go off. We had a scenario last year where managers didn't agree. It went to the umpire, and the umpire said, no, the green is not pooling. It's safe to play, and the sides had to go back out and continue playing. So that's where the umpire gets involved. The final scenario is actually to do with air quality. Not one that's often utilised, but it still is within our conditions of play. If there's a hazardous rating that's been deemed by the EPA in our area, so for us it's metropolitan, in regional areas it's their region, and if that is in play 2 hours or more before, or 2 hours before the commencement of a game, then the match is abandoned and you won't start. If it's classed as poor or very poor, then it's a little bit like the rain scenario. You commence your game. If the managers then decide that the air quality is no good, and it might be due to bushfires in the area and there's lots of smoke and things around and it's not safe for players, then match is abandoned. Again, if the side managers can't agree, the umpire is called. But in any of those scenarios, if the match is, if the stoppage is for an hour, then the game is abandoned. And we'll go through that in the next slide as to what happens in those scenarios. So if the match is abandoned for a 16-player game, so 4 rinks, you've got to play a minimum of 60 ends for the game to be classed as completed. And the scores, whatever scores are there, that's the game. The game stands. Doesn't mean every rink has to have played a minimum of 15 ends. Total of 60 ends or more is completed, then the game is finished, and whatever the score is, it stands. For 3 rinks, it's 45 ends, and so on. You can see the different scenarios for the different playing options that there are. That's for Metro. It's generally pretty similar in regional, but you'd need to check your regional conditions of play just to confirm the exact number of ends for your pennant competition.
Yep. Well done, Troy. What we'll do is we'll make sure our slides accompany the training video. So side managers, if you want to print these slides off, I think really this page here is a key one to have as a resource. If you're not sure, as you can see, really side managers need to agree. If that doesn't happen, go to the umpire. And as you said, Troy, I think heat and lightning are pretty straightforward. It's the rain that our side managers need to be spot on with.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll move to questions. So we'll get Sammy to pop out, and we'll stop sharing and see what questions have come up with. Evening,
Oh,
Sam.
evening, boys. Thanks for joining me in. I appreciate it. Good work, Matthew.
You're welcome.
Good work, Troy. Plenty of good questions coming on through. Might start sort of back where we started, Matty, with some questions around the shuffle button and the scoring app. Obviously, the shuffle button new this year. So in terms of having access to that, Matty might be able to help us out a bit more here. You have access to it in the back in the Bowls link where you showed us before, Matty. But on the day of play, you'll also have access to it on the scoring app itself.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So the developers, obviously, they want to be pushing most of our matches through the scoring app. So they're definitely going to have that. They've definitely got it in there. So if you're a side manager and you can't access a device like a laptop or an iPad, go into the scoring app. You'll see the match. You'll see the shuffle button there, and you'll have the ability to push it and shuffle the rinks for that match.
And another question that came through, but you actually touched on it at the time, Matty, and we've been asking for this for a little while, is for those guys that are using the live scoring this season, is to be actually see an overall live score on the app. But that won't be there for the start of the season, but hopefully...
Unfortunately, it won't. We're hoping in the December release. I know they've flagged it, the developers. We have been asking for this for a while, and yeah, we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer, and hopefully in the new year, on a Friday night, you should be able to see all those games that are getting played, and without clicking into them, you should be able to see the live total scores as they're progressing and the number of ends. And then you can click further down and see what the rinks are doing as well. So I've seen the mock-ups. They look really good, and we'll just have to wait a little bit longer until the new year.
Very good. I'm not sure if you touched on it earlier, but in terms of entering a no score end, Matty, if there's a tight end, how do I enter
saw it on the video. It was on the video. It's a little bit
it was
hard
in the
to
end.
see.
Oh,
yeah.
it's up there.
So if you do have a tight end, which is pretty rare, but it does happen in our matches, obviously no need to put a score in. The 0 is there, just both hit submit. And it'll put 0 in for that end, and the end will count because it needs to. It was a tie. So good question, Sam.
In terms of the shuffle button being used, it'll start off this season as being Metro Weekend Premier Reserve in Division 1. So not midweek, but going forward, if it's successful, Matty, then I'm sure we'll look to grow that further throughout more of our
and it's an option for our regional areas and our playing areas. They've been given the option to go with it. I know some have taken it up. I think it's a great addition, and it's an easy little something to flick before the match, and hopefully it'll stop some of those errors that you fix up every Monday, Sam.
Hey, woo. Hopefully. One more if for those that are using live scoring for the first time across Divi 1 or those guys in Premier again this season, or any regional comps as well. What's the fallback, boys, if it doesn't work? Are we going back to paper scorecards? Are they going to be on standby, or what's the process?
Oh, look, I'm big on having backups in case the system fails. And look, we've got some regional areas that have pretty poor reception. If I was doing it for the first time, I'd probably do it for at least the first 4 rounds. Have the skips use a scorecard, because if the app crashes, they know where they're up to. The skips can catch up on the scorecard and then take over for the rest of the match. That would be a good suggestion. And then maybe into round 4, if we've got a lot of confidence with the app, which we did last year, you can probably get rid of the safety guard.
Very good. That probably covers everything in terms of the questions around scoring app. Or one other, in terms of we've seen a lot sort of on live streams of not only our events, but BA events and around the country of phones on the greens, and whether that is allowed. Troy, is it allowed or
Yeah,
not?
so it's in our conditions of play. It's actually in clause number 31. It says exemptions will be provided for scorecard control devices, applications, and or approved BV electronic scorecard devices or applications requiring the use of an electronic device or application. So it's covered in our conditions of play that mobile phones are absolutely able to be on the green for use for live scoring.
Beautiful.
And we did come up the other night, Sam, common sense too. If you know there's an emergency in your family and you need to be contacted on that day, I'm sure no one's going to object to having a phone on you in the case of an emergency.
And generally in that situation, what that player would do as a courtesy would be to let their opposition know, I've got my phone on me. There's a potential something that could be happening that I need to be able to take a phone call immediately.
A couple other quick ones around conditions of play, Troy. How quickly do we have to get back out on the green once the temperature drops below 36 degrees? Is there time for extensive team meetings as to the tactics going back out, or what's the go?
Yeah, so there's nothing really in the conditions of play, I don't believe.
Oh,
But
I was trying to tell you straight into that. So under 7.12.
There is one. There you go.
It does read sort of at any stage. So once the temperature drops below 36, plays to resume immediately. No time given for team meetings or side manager meetings, whatever that looks like. So straight back out on the green as soon as it drops back below 36 and play can resume.
Perfect.
This is another one, and it does cause, I'm going to say a few issues, but it's always talked about. There's always that one round during the season where the rain affects things. Where does the controlling body and greenkeeper come into things? And then can the greens director, if the greens director closes the green, does that overrule the umpire on the day?
Yeah, so great question. The greens keeper, absolutely, and greens director, who is generally working on behalf of the green keeper, can absolutely close the green if they feel like it's detrimental to the green. So generally the umpire, their main purpose is going to be duty of care to players, whereas the greenkeeper and greens director are more looking at it from the perspective of damage to the greens. They don't want their greens to be chewed up because they've got soft and all that sort of thing. So yeah, absolutely, greenkeeper and greens director have power there as well.
Beautiful. One more quick one, boys. Conditions of play. If back to the heat rule, sort of jump back and forwards. But once we go off, once the temperature reaches 36, how often is it expected that we're looking at the app, refreshing it to see when the temperature drops below 36? Is there any? I don't think we have really anything in black.
No, I think it's just common sense. Just just check it every now and then to keep an eye on it. Obviously, if it's well above the 36, there's a fair chance that It's not going to drop rapidly. Whereas I would say if it's, closer to the 36, then there's more of a chance that it's going to drop. I wouldn't be checking it certainly more than 5 minutes, because it doesn't update every 1 minute anyway. So I would just say every 5 or 10 minutes, probably, as a common sense approach.
Beautiful. One more probably for you, Matty. There still seems to be a little bit of sort of confusion around what the go is in terms of who makes the call and whether the home team or the away team finalises the result in BowlsLink.
Okay, so as I showed in the slides earlier, there are two processes in there for the result to go into BowlsLink. One is home team finalises, and the other one is the away team confirms. If you see a finalise match button at the bottom of your screen, you know that you're using the home team finalises, so the home team will finalise that match. If you don't see it there, then you know that it's the away team will confirm the match.
So Matty, is that something
giveaway.
that's been set up by BV for Metro in the comp?
So obviously for quite a while it was the away team confirms, and I think it's maybe the last 2 seasons that we've switched over, because we found that a lot of our games weren't getting confirmed quick enough. So we swapped to the home team finalisers. I think that's at least now our 3rd season of it. We found a lot more success. I don't feel like we're going to change back. There are still some regional areas and playing areas that always started with the away team confirms, and they're not going to change it. I think they like that security of the away team having the ability to check everything. Problem is you won't get your results quick enough, I don't feel. But it's a region decision. Obviously in Metro, we're all with home team finalisers.
Beautiful.
Matty, we didn't this morning, but all those are looking to access their team entries and any teams and results now for Metro Pennant. Those competitions are all in play. So for any admins or team managers, you'll be able to jump in and fix up your entries, make sure the players that are playing in those sides are all in, ready to get round one now.
Really good reminder here, Sam, and you've saved me here. It's a good idea also, because you're going to have some players in your player list, because Sam, you've obviously imported these entries from last season. So all the players that were in there last season are going to be sitting in that side this season. If you know that there's any players that have transferred out, it's probably a good idea to remove them from your player list before the season starts. That will help the clubs where the player has transferred to, because it'll come up with a bit of an error saying the player's already in this competition. So just a reminder for clubs just to go through their player list, and if you know that there's players that have left, it probably will help the other club to remove them from your list.
Very good. That's just about wraps things up, I think, boys. But you're going to go on to Matty to...
Yeah, I'm just going to finish with best practice and how you can get support. So thank you so much, Sam and Troy, for your time. And as you know, you've been working hard, and we're all looking forward to the season starting.
Bring it on.
All right. So I'll just quickly bring up a slide. Oh, I've jumped one there. So this is what we're finding some of our clubs are having success with. We've already mentioned it already. Teams definitely need to go in before the game starts. That includes late changes. And as you can see, once the shuffle button's been hit, you lose the ability to change players. If you are using the home team finalisers, just please take a couple extra minutes to check that the skips match. Maybe that's the first thing that you do, and then put the correct scores in. That'll just save incorrect results going in and Sammy having to spend half his Monday fixing them all up.
Yeah, the matching up of the rinks is probably the number one there, Matty. The scores are usually pretty right, but there are...
Yeah, and it affects players because the score's not reflecting what they did in the game. If you're doing away team confirms, there's still a few playing areas and regions doing that. confirm it as quickly as you can. That'll just enable results to go in straight after the match and see what's happened in that round. I know, Sammy, there's a lot of players at your club that be straight onto BowlsLink once the game's finished to see what's happened. If you are using cards and you're not live scoring, please keep your cards for at least this season, because if you need to lodge an appeal, you'll need to prove that with the cards. Just a reminder, you can access BowlsLink on pretty much any device. You can even do the shuffle button on your phone, tablet, laptop or club computer, and obviously that's the URL, bowlslink.com.au. It's a good idea to probably re-watch our webinar the other week, the COP one, just so that you're clear on a lot of the conditions. I thought Bob and John did a great job.
That's going up pretty quickly, Matty. Is it pretty soon?
Yeah, I'll show you. Mel's already put the spot where it's going to go to. I'm pretty sure Mel will have that this week, and I'm hoping this recording can be there just as soon. The last one there is, if you know the forecast, and I was probably doing this a couple of years ago as a selector, looking at what the forecast was for Saturday, and if we're seeing a 38, mate, be prepared and move your game. Play it earlier on the Saturday. I know some people like the 11 a.m. start. It just means that you're reducing that risk of an abandoned game, or even move it to a Friday night. So we want to get games played. We don't want to see abandoned matches. We want to play them out and have a good season. So, yeah, be prepared. And if you think there's a chance the rain or the heat's going to stop the game, move it if you can. Support. There's a couple places that you can get support. Obviously, our website's a one-stop shop. I'll show you that in a moment. BowlsLearn, I'll show you where and how to access that. And there's a BowlsLink support page that I'd say 90% of our members don't know about, and I'll show you where that's sitting. Okay, so here's our website, bowlsvic.org.au, Club Assist, and down to BowlsLink. That's where you'll get all the support for BowlsLink. There's your form if you need to add any club admin or remove them. There's the webinar that we did on membership. So if you're still having trouble with membership types and making your members financial, please have a look at that. I think it's the 18-minute mark where I start to talk about membership types. There's some other webinars that we've done. If you're looking for that scoring app tutorial, there it is there. Share that with all your players. BowlsLink support website. In here are some great articles. They're all located by category. So competitions in here actually has some articles about the shuffle button, adding team managers to your pennant team, entering scores for competition. So if you're a person who likes to see a written manual, there's some great manuals there. There's also some videos. And the other one was BowlsLearn. You can get it through your BowlsLink, bottom left. Click here for course catalog. You will need to log in. So it's saying log in up here. That means I haven't logged into the system. Just use your BowlsLink login details. Officiating and coaching, we moved there a while ago. There's also quite a few BowlsLink modules that people haven't completed. If you're a new manager, I recommend doing this one. You won't get the information about the shuffle button, but how to do teams and results is all demonstrated in that module there. All right. That's it, guys. Come to the end. So again, thanks Troy and Sam for your time. I think we've had over 60 people attend tonight, which is a great response. I think everyone's getting excited for the season to start. Probably one more practice match, Sam, and then we're into it.
Looking forward to it, mate. Should be a good season.
Yeah. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great season.
Thanks, everyone. Good on you, Matty. Cheers. Bye.